Hello everyone, this is Lisa Spears, and today I'm going to be doing my presentation regarding a mentoring and leadership program that I want to implement for teenagers called ReConnect Community Program. And I came up with this program because I had the privilege of volunteering this summer in a mentoring program called Emerge Mentoring Solutions. And so when we had the assignment to talk about what we would like to do, what program could we best think that we could do to best help our communities. I've always had a passion for mentoring. So I decided to come up with a program for mentoring teenagers in the rural communities in the state of Alabama. And because I am from the rural area, I thought that such a program would be so beneficial because we never consider the rural areas when we're thinking about progressive movement or innovative ideas. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about some concepts that I thought would be beneficial for teenagers who don't always get as many chances or afforded as many choices to do as we have in the inner city. Now, if they are without a YMC program, it's going to be kind of hard to gain any type of leadership skills. So I think that the concept that I've come up with, although it's not solidified to the best of my ability yet to be implemented, I think that right now the basics is going to be, I think that the basics that I've come up with are going to be great if I could get those things implemented. So we're going to get started. I've created a slideshow that is going to help us to somewhat grasp what I'm thinking, and maybe hopefully get some feedback from my fellow students what they think or what needs to be implemented. So we're going to get started. And one of my main focal points is that imagine strategy for learning quick and solid decisions. And I think as teenagers, we need to have, well, I don't know if I'm a teenager now, but when I was a teenager, I wanted to always have somebody that I felt like I can bounce my ideas off of, somebody that just had an ear to hear. So we're going to go through some things, some questioning, some input that as I did the interview process that I got from a couple of teenagers that is going to help me to grasp the concept of what it means to have a mentor and that person is the mentee. Just a little bit about what ReConnect is going to be. Reconnect teenagers. The concept for ReConnect is going to be reconnect teenagers back into the community with life opportunities. And ReConnect is a nonprofit organization that will be based in Montgomery, Alabama. I had an estimated $75,000 in the induction year, and if we could get that, that would be great. We won't have any more than 8 employees working in the home office. This is going to be primarily operates as a youth self-help agency, and we hope to revitalize the rural communities through existing resources and partnerships. And I think partnership with the local churches is going to be such a great thing, because what better way to find out what teenagers are needing than to go to your churches who are providing youth ministries. They're pretty much counseling our youth of today. So if we could get that, that would be great. And also use that as a safe haven for teenagers, or be a safe place for us to have a meeting place, like maybe use their fellowship hall or something to that nature. We want to be self-sustained. We want our partnership also with self-sustainable business models to provide jobs in the community. And I think that helps to cut down on the poverty level, and that's going to be a whole different bracket. But I just wanted to say that the poverty level in the rural communities is somewhat higher than we have in the inner cities because they're not afforded the ability to find jobs in the local businesses. And although there are some stores that will have teenagers, they're not in partnership. And I think that they are knowing that they have a partner to, we're partnering with them, and they have that strength plus our mentoring. I think that would be a good concept. There's something that I haven't seen, even as I was growing up in the rural area. We were not always able to find jobs. And so I want to get that back in the community, which is also going to help the community grow. Continuing on with what we are going to be established at the ReConnect community program is that we feel the teams reap big and developmental dividends from non-parent mentoring relationships. How many know that we're not wanting to take anything away from the parents, but I think that sometimes teenagers may feel comfortable with talking to people other than their parents. Not that they want to hide anything, but they just want, maybe they feel like the parents are just going to be so strict. But that was one of the things I wanted to say. Not that we would keep the parents out of the loop of anything if something was happening, but we feel that they would be more open to discuss things that they normally wouldn't discuss with their parents. Regardless of the levels of income, teens should grow intellectually, interpersonally, and emotionally through supported mentoring. And sometimes we cannot gauge communities by the level of income that is being turned over or flowing through that community, and we cannot have stigmatism, or not stigmatism, we cannot label a person by the society or the neighborhood that they are actually living in, and that shouldn't always be the case. I think if teens are given the ability to afforded the same emotional and intellectual concepts as other teens in the more, I guess we would say, more high-end or more middle-age cultures, then they have a less chance. They will have a better chance of achieving their goals. They also should be able to grow better. They should be better planners, organizers, and problem solvers. And I think that we should, in this day and age, move back to conflict resolution. If we're understanding what it is if we understand what the problem is, maybe we can also understand how to solve that problem. And I think that teens will grow in self-confidence and self-awareness. How many know when we give confidence, when you're confident, you can achieve great things through being confident? I think that they would be able to go to college, have that ability to know that they are able to go to college. So we're going to keep moving because I know I don't have a lot of time. So we're going to look at some positive feedback. And these things that are questions are some feedback as I was talking to some teens over the summer during the Emerge Community Solution Mentoring Program that I heard them say often when we would have talk sessions. It says mentoring matters to positive youth development. In other words, they're looking for supportive and encouragement. Teenagers we must be supportive and we must be encouraging to the teenagers, particularly as they struggle obstacles and solve problems. So we don't know what is it that is causing what a person or a teenager may have going on, what kind of peer pressure they may be under. So it is good to always be supportive and encouraging them to talk. We must be active listeners. Mentors listen first and speak last. So how many know that we need to have an active ear? We want to always listen. Sometimes we don't always listen, but we hear. So I think that it's good to listen. We must push just enough so that the teen will respond well and not feel pushed out of their comfort zone. So we want to give them enough encouragement. That goes back up there to they want us to be supportive and encouraging. Give them just enough push. You know how it is when you need to be pushed. When teenagers need to be pushed, they're just not adults. They're teenagers need to be pushed. Sometimes adults need to be pushed. So we need to start to encourage and push just as much. In other words, we need to let them know, oh, you can do it. I am confident that you can achieve the goals that are set before you. We must be authentic in our interest in the teens as individuals. Teens can tell the difference between adults who are authentically interested. So in other words, what I've hearing even in that is that we can't be fake. You want to have a genuine interest in take care. We want to provide that in the ReConnect community program. And I think in the rural areas, sometimes they feel left out, that they don't feel like they are having the same advantages as they do if they're not living in the city, and because they are like in the rural areas where there may be hard to get internet service. So there sometimes may be a disconnect from the world. We also should foster self-decision making. Good mentors don't judge young people or impose their own beliefs on them. So we want to foster their decision making, good, bad, or indifferent. Even now, as I was mentoring, and I was mentoring a group of young ladies about 5 years ago, and they were from the ages of 17 to 25. And one of the things that I encouraged them to do was, you have to own your decisions, good, bad, or indifferent. I wanted to foster the fact that they needed to make decisions about what was the next step in life going to be, whether it was going to college or if it was not going to college, or if it was decided to get married and have a family. Why was those decisions being made? And if that was your decision, you have to stick to it. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink of water right here. My mouth is getting dry. Okay, sorry about that. But we want to help them to foster good self-decision makings. We don't want to judge. For instance, if a person does not want to go to college, even in the teenagers, maybe they don't want to go to college right after high school. I want to encourage them to do something that is going to be beneficial, even in the break. If you just want to work and save money or work and help your family, we want to encourage them. So I want to present something different in the ReConnect that they don't always see. I want to be able to have them to know that whatever they decide to do, that you have support. The next slide is going to continue from that. We want to lend perspective to teens from our additional years of life experience. So I believe that I do have some experiences that can help them. Some consequences or decisions that I made. I didn't go to college I went to college right after high school, and I didn't complete it. So now here I am, almost 30 years later doing school. So I can give some insight as to the ups and downs of why you need to go ahead on and pursue your education while you're young. So that would be something that I could give an input. And also, if you don't, what are you going to do? How are you going to support yourself? What career are you looking for? Not every career begins with a college degree. So we want to look at some things. What are you looking at? What are you comparing yourself to? We also want to maintain healthy relationships, such as positive self-esteem helps teens to stay focused and goal-oriented. How many know that it's hard to stay focused as teens because you have so many other things going on? But we want to cultivate that mindset that they need to stay focused and to set goals, and also try to maintain goals, set goals and maintain them within. Make sure that you can attain those goals. Don't set goals so far off that you can't obtain those and then get discouraged. So we want to set goals that define our goals and make sure that we can help them maintain them. Helpful life skills such as negotiation, communication are needful to shape teens for leadership. One of my biggest things that I would love to see, even in our young people and even with myself, is that they have good communication skills. And not only that they have good communication skills, but they be effective in their communication, that they are effective. I believe effective communication helps us all helps everyone to understand what each person is coming from. And that also will cultivate good leadership skills. I believe that when you communicate effectively, it causes you to have, it motivates you to have good self. It motivates your confidence in yourself, that people understand what you're saying. And you also want to learn the art of negotiation. So even in life skills, you want to always be able to negotiate. And I think that, again, comes with being a good leader. And that, again, a good leader must have good communication skills. So I definitely want to push the fact that the communication skills are going to be very much pushed in the ReConnect community program. We will have a ReConnect curriculum that is designed to equip young future professionals. And one of the things that I took from the Emerge mentoring solutions mentoring program this summer when I volunteered was, I like the fact that they had a youth council. Now also that is a good thing here in the city, but in the rural areas we don't always get to be involved to that magnitude and what goes on in the day-to-day operations in a small town. So I thought that would be good to implement that concept from the city from the inner city standpoint to go into the rural areas. And with this, the Youth Council Mentoring Program, it invites high school juniors to serve during their spring break. So how many know that the $75,000 will conserve? If we could do that and receive the money, it would be like an internship, a paid internship. So that would be an incentive to get the juniors to do something other than go to the beach, other than spend spring break just playing video games. That would give them incentive to do something and actually like it and have it and get paid for it, which it would only be a small amount, which would only be $100 a week. But I think that would be good to just go and be a part and receive training in community advocacy, coalition building, entrepreneurship, communication, and leadership. That would be some very good incentive. I like the entrepreneurship in this course, but in this mentoring program in the summer break, because there's some teenagers are not like when we were 30 years ago. They're very creative. They have the internet now, so they are able to create things that we thought was impossible in 30 years ago. And it's just like a matter of writing a program and putting it together. So I like the entrepreneur process in this mentoring program. We're going to also push for teen pregnancy and abstinence program. That was like one of the things I definitely wanted to do, which works in conjunction with the Alabama Department of Public Health. We would not be giving information outside of what is already being provided in the state of Alabama. And this is going to be one of the main focal points that we stress in the spring break seminars about the importance of practicing abstinence. When I researched about what is going on in the teen pregnancy and abstinence program, the Alabama Department of Public Health, there has been a decline in the number of teenage pregnancies over the last 5 years. I did not get the exact number. I was reading in my research, and I recognized that it has been a decline. And because of the push in making it and giving teenagers an understanding as why it is good to practice abstinence, has caused a decline in the state of Alabama. So I would just like to commend the Alabama Department of Public Health for really pushing this. And it's really active in the public school systems here in the city of Montgomery. So I would love to have that in the rural areas where it's not always taught. I think there's a sex education class. They do have that in the public school system. But the Alabama Department of Public Health kind of takes it a little bit farther because they give you understanding. They give information about the different types of sexually transmitted diseases that are now that are on the rise now from not practicing safe sex. And if they are not going to be in the abstinence program, if that is something they've decided not to do, we want to give them all the information that they need to practice safe sex, so that they will make wise decisions. So, and also it will help us in the teen pregnancy, keeping those numbers low. Entrepreneurship and development. I really would, again, with effective communication, wanted to definitely push in the ReConnect program, the entrepreneurship. How many know that we're never too young to decide if we want to be business owners? And I think in the teenage years when they're trying to decide where they want to go to college or to start their business, we want to give them all the information, all the necessary tools to succeed. So we conducted an assessment for the need of entrepreneurial establishments in the existing community. So we went around to some local businesses to see how that they were maintaining, and see if they were come into partnership with us. It was several local grocery stores, and I don't want to kind of go with the change because they were chain grocery store owners, businesses that were in the area, but they were not as willing to partnership. I think they had to go through the proper procedures, but also there was a couple other people that were local mom and pop stores that say, hey, yeah, we would love to partnership, give some a little after school work or help them if they needed to get a summer job. So we got some commitments, but they were not solid. So we're still in that process. So we want to talk about establishing in the communities, existing communities, to increase more sustainable and flourishing growth. How many know that if you don't give them something to do, that they're not going to be flourishing? So we want to give them some avenues. And so, like I said, it was nothing that was concrete, but we did get a couple of yeses. But we got a whole lot of maybes. So maybes are good. So we're going to keep praying. We're going to invest in the human and physical capital to develop and implement the models needed to best suit each rural community. So every community is different. There were 3 areas that we were looking at, and they're all within a 50-mile radius of each other, which is good and it's not good, because that means that it's not a lot of thriving businesses. You might have the local Walmart, or you have, like I said, we have a lot of mom and pop stores. Not every community, not every town, small town, has a YMCA. So that's when the churches became so important, that in our research, as I was looking over this and really wanting to do some things different, it was imperative that we partnership with the churches. And as we partnership with the churches, that will give us an access to the youth ministry. And so it was I did talk with several youth pastors that were willing to help us out on a monthly, and it was monthly basis as far as fellowship. But I'm really looking for something on a more, on a closer basis, like weekly or bi-weekly. We serve in partnership with other community members to assure the growth and success of the businesses. So I did come into contact with some guidance counselors in the local high schools that were willing to give help, and were willing to when we were ready to put the program to their juniors in the beginning of each school year. And that was something that they would be able to talk about. So I thought that was pretty good, because coming from a rural area, a small town, it's not always easy. So you need to partner with people who can get you access to some things. And it's good to know that some of the one of the guidance counselors that I graduated high school with. So that was a plus. Yay. Another thing we talked about was mentoring relationships are a shared opportunity for learning and growth. Mentors say that the reward, and again, this was some of the things that I learned from this summer of my volunteer work. They say mentors say that we as mentors, I learned this, mentors, as a mentor, I say that the reward they gain are as substantial as those gained by their mentee. It was very enlightening for me. I could say I gained some knowledge from the young people. My pastor likes to say that being around young people keep you young. I don't know if I want to go back to being that young, but I did have fun talking with them. So it was fun for me, and I believe it was fun for them because I was a little hip at some time, but not too much. We achieve personal growth and learn more about themselves. We improve their self-esteem and feel they are making a difference. Oh, that was one of the things is, and I think one of the young ladies, it was like almost 20 teenagers, 20 juniors in there, and it was 10 girls and 10 boys, and there was like a set of triplets there, girls, and they were always wanting to talk. And they were always like, they all had an opinion. As you know, teenagers are very opinionated. And that's good because we want to encourage their opinions. But they were always talking about how to improve their self-esteem. I think when because society presents such a, you should look like this or you should look like that. Television these days presents such a image as to what is considered beautiful, what is considered not, what is considered the perfect weight size, what is considered not. So we dealt with a lot of, especially in the young ladies, because there was a time when we separated them from the males, that we had to deal with self-esteem issues. And so one of the things that I wanted to encourage them was that they have to like the best you that they are. What does beautiful look like to them? How do they see themselves? Because how they see themselves is how they will present themselves to others. So it was good that, and I wanted them to gain a better understanding of other cultures and develop a greater appreciation for diversity. And sometimes when, like I said, we don't always mix cultures, we don't always mix classes, income classes. If you're one of the things, because we were in the city, we dealt with, if you live in this part of town, then you're considered this. And if you live here, you're considered that. But that's not always the case. Just because you're in a different zip code mean that you're different. You have the same problems. You have the same self-esteem issues. So we wanted them to appreciate diversity in other people, in one another. Appreciate someone else's culture other than being selfish and thinking that what they have going on is the only thing that we should be concerned about. So it was good for me as a mentor or volunteer/mentor to listen and be encouraged by the mentees to know that the same thing we dealt with 30 years ago, it has not changed. Society has not changed. They might be a little bit more vocal and a little bit more, well, a lot vocal than I was 30 years ago. But that's not a bad thing because times are changing. And so we have to keep moving. So I was really impressed by them. They feel more productive and have a better attitude at work. We enhance their relationships with their own children. I don't have any biological children, but it did enhance my relationship with people. And I did have a better attitude. I felt like they were listening even at my age. I felt like could garner the ear of a teenager. So that was pretty impressive to me. And I really enjoyed it. Well, sad to say that the week ended, but I was really, really impressed with them. A good mentor is willing to take the time to get to know their mentee, to learn new things that are important to the young person, and even to be changed by their relationship. And again, that goes back to good listeners listen first and speak later. So we want to, at ReConnect, I'm going to push that. We want to be able to always have an ear to listen and not always want to be giving our opinion first. We want to listen to what they have going on and then encourage them in what we say. And that's the end of my slideshow. I am so encouraged by this program. I definitely am excited about implementing this program if I could ever get the opportunity. There are so many things that I've learned over this semester, and one of the things about having integrity, I think the last week lecture talked about having integrity. Can your program garner integrity, and can it be an open book? I welcome that, because when you are open to let people know where the money is going, they will become more apt to give you money. So I'm excited about about my program. I'm excited about what is going on. I'm excited to see how we're going to move in this program. I'm excited to know that this is possible to do. We can actually do it. So I'm encouraged about it. I don't know how soon I will implement the program. I don't know how soon I can find funding, but it has given me insight to an initiative to go and do. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It was just a couple of things that I pulled out, and it was really enlightening for me to learn that I have so many resources that I could go to. Maybe I can partner with the United Way in that area. I haven't done any research concerning that, but it's kind of like a rural area, so there's not a lot of money flowing through it. So we will see. Okay, thanks. Have a great day. I appreciate you listening.